The movie commences with Maria Delgado, portrayed by Katrin Vankova, and her boyfriend enjoying the film Con Air, until intruders in masks invade their residence. Tragically, Maria's boyfriend is slain during the invasion. Despite her attempt to flee, Maria is struck in the face and rendered unconscious before being forcibly taken. In Hollywood, Nicolas Cage, portraying a fictionalized version of himself, approaches director David Gordon Green in hopes of auditioning for a movie role. Initially reluctant, the director is unexpectedly impressed when Nick begins passionately performing the dialogue in public. Facing a career slump and financial strain due to a lack of good roles, Nick also grapples with his younger self, Nicky, who suggests he may have passed his prime. Compounding his challenges, Nick contends with a strained relationship with his ex-wife, Olivia, and their daughter, Addie. Realizing he's been neglectful of Addie's feelings by always prioritizing his own desires, Nick accompanies his agent, Richard Fink, portrayed by Neil Patrick Harris, to a spa, sharing his desperate need for the coveted role. Amidst back whippings with branches, Richard mentions a lucrative offer for a birthday appearance. But Nick remains uninterested, despite being reminded of his substantial debt from a year-long stay at the Sunset Tower. Confident in securing the role, Nick dismisses financial concerns. Later, at Addie's birthday bash, Nick's hopes are shattered when Richard delivers the news of losing the role to someone else. Disheartened and enraged, Nick disrupts the party, embarrassing Addie with an impromptu piano performance and rant. Olivia intervenes, driving him home and urging him to pull himself together. Defeated, Nick retreats to his room, where he decides to accept the birthday gig and retire from acting, conveying his decision to Richard over the phone. Nick is whisked away to an island where CIA agents Martin, played by Ike Barinholtz, and Vivian, portrayed by Tiffany Haddish, anticipate encountering a local crime figure, only to be surprised by Nick's presence. Seizing the opportunity, Vivian approaches Nick under the guise of a fan and discreetly plants a tracker in his jacket pocket, despite Martin's objections. Nick is then transported by speedboat to the compound of his fan and benefactor, Javi Gutierrez, played by Pedro Pascal. Javi shares his ambitious script idea with Nick and expresses his hopes for Nick's involvement. Confiding in his wife Gabriella, portrayed by Alessandra Mastronardi, about his anticipation for Nick to review it. Javi endeavors to connect with Nick, who initially sees his time on the island as merely a means to get paid and fade into anonymity. However, Gabriella convinces Nick to join Javi on a hike to witness the cliffs. During their outing, Javi appears to express urgency, but he's actually brainstorming a scene for his script. Despite Nick's disinterest, Javi reminds him of his passion for acting and his talent, prompting Nick to engage and eventually take a daring leap off the cliffs into the ocean alongside Javi. Upon returning to shore, Nick gradually opens up to Javi, fostering a genuine bond between them. They share conversations about their favorite films, with Nick revealing his fondness for The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Javi recommending Paddington 2. Though initially surprised, Nick is captivated by the film as Javi introduces it to him, and they both agree on its status as a masterpiece. Later, Nick is forcibly taken into a van by a team of agents led by Vivian and Martin. Vivian discloses to Nick that Javi is suspected of abducting Maria, the daughter of the Catalonian president, who opposes crime in the country. The kidnappers aim to coerce the president into withdrawing from the race. The agents task Nick with getting close to Javi to gather evidence of his involvement in Maria's abduction. Despite Nick's reluctance to be involved, Vivian manipulates him by drawing parallels between Maria's situation and Addie's age, forcing Nick to contemplate how he would feel if Addie were in Maria's place. Reluctantly, Nick agrees to comply with the plan. During a party hosted by Javi, Nick is assigned the covert task of incapacitating Javi with a specialized toxin. However, Nick accidentally exposes himself to the toxin, leading to paralysis. Vivian and Martin swiftly guide Nick away from approaching guards to reach the room where the antidote is kept. As Nick appears to lose consciousness before administering the antidote, Vivian improvises by shouting, "Action!" triggering Nick's acting instincts and providing him with the adrenaline rush needed to inject himself with the antidote. Having successfully rigged the house cameras as instructed, Nick is informed by Vivian that they require his continued cooperation. Nick re-emerges at the party and surprises everyone by announcing his involvement in Javi's screenplay, much to Javi's delight. The following day, Javi offers Nick LSD, and the two embark on a psychedelic journey through town. Amidst their hallucinations, they become paranoid upon spotting two individuals they suspect are observing them, leading to a frantic escapade. Upon returning to Javi's compound, Nick stumbles upon a secret chamber, initially believing it to be Maria's potential hiding place. However, Javi reveals that it's actually a private sanctuary, adorned with memorabilia from Nick's past films, including a chainsaw from Mandy, the pearls from The Rock, posters of National Treasure, and a lifelike statue of Nick from Face Off. Impressed by the display, Nick later reports his findings to Vivian, expressing doubt regarding Javi's involvement in the kidnapping. Nevertheless, Vivian insists that Nick maintain proximity to Javi and integrate the kidnapping narrative into the screenplay to potentially uncover Maria's whereabouts. As Nick endeavors to weave the kidnapping subplot into the script, Javi interprets it as Nick's remorse over his relationship with Addie. In an attempt to mend fences, Javi arranges for Addie and Olivia to be flown out to the island. However, both Addie and Olivia are unsettled by the situation and are unwilling to entertain Nick's explanations, dismissing them as another futile attempt to revive his career. Meanwhile, Javi confers with his cousin Lucas, who discloses Nick's collaboration with the CIA. Lucas further reveals that he orchestrated Maria's abduction under the directives of mobster Sergio Balisari, the individual Vivian and Martin were pursuing. Lucas instructs Javi to personally handle Nick, threatening dire consequences if he fails to comply. Vivian instructs Nick to infiltrate Javi's inner circle and eliminate him, promising to ensure his and his family's safe extraction. However, when Nick attempts to disclose the truth to Olivia, she mistakes his intentions for a nervous breakdown. Nick and Javi venture into the woods for a final confrontation, but their bond has grown so strong that neither can bring themselves to carry out the task. Lucas dispatches his men to pursue them, forcing Nick and Javi to fend off the attackers. Upon returning to the house, Olivia reveals that Addie has been abducted. With Gabriella's support, Nick contacts Vivian, who informs him that the kidnappers intend to leverage Addie to pressure the U.S. government. Complicating matters, Lucas's men have already reached Vivian, resulting in a confrontation where Vivian sacrifices herself to protect Nick and the others. Together, they devise a plan to rescue the girls. Nick and Olivia adopt disguises to approach Lucas, and Nick taps into his acting prowess to outmaneuver the villains. Utilizing the golden guns from his face-off statue, they locate Maria and Addie and flee to safety. As they race through the streets with Lucas in pursuit, they seek refuge at the U.S. Embassy. With Maria's quick thinking, Nick gains the upper hand and ultimately subdues Lucas, ensuring the girls' safety. A year later, Javi's film, starring Nick and featuring Demi Moore as Olivia, becomes a blockbuster success, reigniting Nick's career. Nick and Javi reunite after the movie, sharing pride in their collaboration. Later, Nick returns home with Olivia and Addie, and they bond over watching Paddington 2, their relationship stronger than ever before. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more film caps.